When I was a teenager in London, I knew I didn't want to live there in the city. After university, I sort of bimbled around the country until a series of dreams and a run of fateful coincidences in 1975 brought me to the upper Calder Valley. I was already by that time interested in archaeology, and the nearest site listed on the Ordnance Survey map was on the hill above my house on Midgley Moor. I went looking, but the site isn't that obvious, and I actually walked straight across it. I was naively expecting something with stones and banks and so on, like Stonehenge or something. But things are a bit more subtle around here, understated and asking you to do the work. I was also interested in folklore and hypotheticals like ley lines and energy, which I no longer follow in the same way. But those ideas opened me up to connections, how places and people are connected, and how they connect with other places and people, both in space and across time. That was my first exploration of Midgley Moor, but thereafter it became the prime destination for most of my early walks, and I became aware of other Bronze Age sites there, as well as other places with a sense of the numinous, and often with a legend attached. The Greenwood Stone was one such site. It was lying on the ground when I first saw it, but some friends re-erected it one night around 1977, and they reported some really strange psychic and visual experiences while they were doing it. I had a dream one night, maybe 1978, of being at this stone and inspecting a slit on one side. I got the idea in the dream that this was a kind of keyhole, and if I could find and insert the key, it would unlock the mystery of the land. I didn't have a key, but one day, out walking, I found a sliver of wood nearby, and I put that in the slit. Nothing obvious happened, but that dream seemed to somehow unlock a path for myself into the valley landscape, a relationship with Midgley Moor and its places and wildlife, and its unseen dimensions too. All a bit of an eye-opener for this Middlesex kid. It was on the wave of this developing relationship with the upper Calder Valley landscape and its history and story that I got together in 1979 with other Northern researchers to found the Northern Earth Mysteries group. In due course, I got an MA in local history and folklore at Sheffield, became editor of the journal, and 30 years on, I'm still there, having renamed it from the Northern Earth Mysteries Group newsletter to simply Northern Earth. And I've published half a dozen books on local lore too. Over those 30 years, that dream of unlocking meaning from the landscape expanded into collecting folktales and lore, local history and literature, and other perspectives on place. Folktales especially seemed to me to give an insight into how past inhabitants saw their landscape and the ambiances within it, a kind of primal rural psychogeography. Archaeology, folklore, phenomenology and psychogeography all seem to play their part in the significant landscapes around us and interact. This was reflected in Northern Earth's content, and in 2019 I and a few colleagues put together ideas for a conference called Dreaming Valleys. We envisaged a day where folklorists, local historians, geographers, psychogeographers, artists and musicians would present and share alternative ways of seeing and exploring place. In the event, We ended up in a race against the first COVID lockdown, but we just made it in March 2020 with a week to spare. And it turned out to be a real success. People from different specialities coming together and sharing discussions about what I feel is a very fundamental human quest: to know our place.